Y2K was a movie I was super interested in, and I don't really know why. Was it the fact that it was about the Y2K virus, which, I remembered living through? I remembered being a child when everybody was terrified of what was going to happen at the turn of the year. Everybody was thinking the computers were going to take over and start killing babies and whatnot. I don't know if they thought they were going to start killing babies, but they kind of thought the world was going to go nuts, didn't they? So I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was the fact that Rachel Zegler is in there, and Rachel Zegler, as we all know as film fans, is kind of like movie toxicity right now. Like, I kind of get the whole Snow White back and forth drama. I'm not really going to check the movie out myself, I don't think. I might out of morbid curiosity, but she's in this doing comedy, and people were kind of like, can Rachel Zegler really do comedy? I don't know. Jonah Hill was like a producer on this, which kind of piqued my interest a little bit. Julian Dennison from Deadpool 2 and pretty much nothing else since was in there, and I really liked him in Deadpool 2. I loved him in Hunt for the Wilder People as well, so I was interested in that. Jaeden Martell from that goth movie that I watched a couple of years ago that was actually low-key pretty awesome. He is one of the leads in here. So I don't know. I was just intrigued as to what would happen here. I knew it was one of those kind of sci-fi, fantasy, horror kind of movies. It was like, let's just see what Y2K is about. And I'll tell you right now, no spoilers, it's not what I was hoping for, but we're going to talk about it. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British website for all of your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. I like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. This is one of those A24 movies, and A24 has been putting out a lot of great content. I feel like they kind of just snuck this one out low-key because they weren't sure what it was going to do. There are moments that we will talk about that absolutely just slap, like moments that you just cannot get enough of, but we'll talk about that later. But let's just get into the film and see how we felt. And the film revolves around Eli and Danny, two high school friends that are complete and utter nobodies to anybody that is somebody. And they kind of just like live their lives together. Like they want to be cool, they want to get through school, they want to get laid, they want all of that good stuff. Eli is more of the reserved kind of character who doesn't want to put himself too forward, kind of has a crush on the school hottie, which is Laura, who's an absolute, also a nerd. She's like probably the hottest girl in school, but also a nerd, which, like she's all that, I guess. But yeah, so these guys, they go through all that, and there's going to be a big Y2K party at the local cool kid's house. And they're going to go to it, although they not really are kind of a little bit invited. I was really confused about these two characters because honestly, it felt like they kind of were cool, and it kind of felt like there wasn't anybody there that didn't think they should be there. So they go to this party, and when the bells chime, when we get into the new year, the Y2K bug begins to take over. And yes, it takes over the machines, and yes, it's going to kill everyone for reasons that we will find out throughout the movie. Reasons that I wasn't overly that fussed about, didn't really care about. I was just vibing on the music. For instance, when they get to the party, Julian Dennison, Danny, the character of Danny, puts the CD in, and the CD, people, by the way, the CD, he puts it in, and it is Cisco's Thong Song. Instantly, it's a classic. It is an absolute classic. It is up there with the Bolero of the ice skating. It is up there with Pavarotti. It is up there with Van Gogh's painting. It is an absolute banger. It slaps. Yes, then it literally does become an end of the world situation. They need to get out of the house, away from the appliances that are all being taken over. They need to try and survive, and we get some pretty gnarly kills along the way. Jaeden Martell's character of Eli kind of hooks up with Rachel Zegler's character a little bit, but not properly until later on. And they end up in a group of people that don't all really love each other, and so it's a case of, yeah, I'm going to sell you down the river if I have to. But where this movie does kind of live and where it does kind of work is in some of the nostalgia. The only problem is you have these 2020 kids, Rachel Zegler and Jaeden Martell, who are still essentially kids, like trying to recreate the 90s. You do also have these other characters out there, like Kyle Mooney, the director Kyle Mooney is also the writer of the movie. He plays one of the characters in there, and he is quite a believable character because he lived that time. He was there at that time, as I believe. He's about the same age as I am. So, like, I'm 1984, so I'm 40 years old this year. God, I'm old. So, like, I get what they were going for. It's just sometimes I feel like it doesn't really work because you've got these young kids who, yes, you can tell them what it was like and how it felt, but for them to portray that, I'll just say it. Zegler falls completely short of the mark. She really does, and it's a shame. Because I get the feeling that there's a good little actress in this movie. I get the feeling that Rachel Zegler can actually act and can do these things well. I just wasn't feeling her vibe for the whole thing. And when you've got the likes of Jaeden Martell, who I think can apply himself to that, again, not completely because you just don't buy it completely, but when you have him in there who can do this, I kind of felt like we're getting robbed on one side, but we're getting the goods on the other side. Julian Dennison, he can just do whatever he wants, anytime he wants. He's a cracking little actor. He's funny as hell. Everything he does just kind of works. The only thing is, we don't get a great deal of him in this movie. Roundabout now, I would usually talk about the things that I did and didn't like. And I'm going to start off with one thing that I absolutely loved. And it made the movie for me. It actually makes it stand out a little bit more for me. And that is the addition of Fred Durst. Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit is in this movie. And he is awesome. He's so good as Fred Durst. Like, he's playing himself, but a little bit of a cartoonish version of himself. But what we have is the hindsight of everything that happened with Limp Bizkit and with Fred Durst's career. So we have the hindsight of the Wes Borland situation. We have the hindsight of the comeback, subsequent rise, fall of Limp Bizkit. You know, we have the hindsight of how big they actually were at one point before, like, when this movie is set. They don't really get to that point when this movie is set. And it's just great to have Fred Durst in there cracking Limp Bizkit jokes at Limp Bizkit's expense, because actually he knows exactly what happened and where it went. We as fans know what happened, where it went, and he gets to make those jokes with a little bit of a tongue within his cheek, which totally just works. So yeah, they end up going to a video shop at one point to hide out, because obviously you would hide out in a video shop because they were the most awesome places on the planet. So they end up hiding out at a video shop at one point, and this guy comes out and he's like, "Took you a while to get here. I thought you'd be sooner." And of course it's Fred Durst, which is awesome. When it comes to the big climax of the movie and they have to, like, take on the machines and take on the bad things, like, we get a little bit of Faith. Like, Limp Bizkit doing Faith, Fred Durst kind of almost sort of doing it live in a movie. Loved it. It just works. And he gets a great one-liner where he's kind of like, "Come on, guys, let's break stuff," which is just, yeah, that was the main thing that worked for me. But we have this one plot point that I was just kind of like, why can't that just be the whole movie? Why can't we just have Fred Durst being the main character and doing these random Fred Dursty things and being all Limp Bizkit and stuff? And you have these other characters that totally relate to what Limp Bizkit was. Like, it was a movement. But it's kind of like, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, but you're a kid saying that who didn't really, as far as I know, or as far as I can tell, live through it. So it rings a little bit hollow. But they did their best, I guess. Yeah, I thought the animatronics of things, like the VFX, the special effects, the animatronics, the practical effects, stuff like that, it all kind of does work. Like, it does have these little moments where, like, USB cards and things like that, USB sticks going into things, and the dial-up of the modem and things like that. Those things were all pretty cool to see. It just rings, I'll say it again, in places for me, it rings a little bit hollow, which was the upsetting factor, because I really kind of thought you had a great little story going on here. I thought you had a great little premise, and we could have really dove a little bit more into that premise. So yeah, I'm just going to get on to what I thought my final Nerdly Out Loud rating, because Y2K wasn't a film that I loved. It's not a film that I really would rave about and really would tell people, that they need to go out and see. I think as far as A24 goes, this is one of the weakest. It's probably why they put it out there in a really weird kind of spot. It wasn't sort of like a Christmas movie. It's not really a New Year movie. They just kind of dropped it in this weird space. And I think that's because they knew like it was going to do okay enough, but it wasn't going to set the world on fire. And it really doesn't. For me, it's a 2.5 at best, and most of that goes to the likes of Fred Durst. It goes to the likes of the nostalgia that I was getting. Thong Song hits, and I'm up there and I'm doing it. There were little moments that we got things that I thought, that's pretty cool. The AOL kind of like Google search, not even Google search, just like the AOL search, the way the chat bots are working, the way the emails are working, like it's cool, and I loved it because it remembered me of all that. But there are films out there who have done this 10 times better, with a lot more passion towards it, a lot more conviction towards it, and a lot more just fun. It's a swing and a miss for me. I would give this a 2.5. I don't necessarily think you need to rush out and watch it in any cinema setting or anything like that. Maybe watch it on TV for free. Maybe watch it when it hits the streaming. If you want to check out the movie, and I always say you should check out these movies because people put their heart and souls into them. But I just think, Kyle Mooney, I feel like you've got something better to offer us. And Jaeden Martell, I do rate this kid as an actor. That goth movie, the name of it really escapes me right now. I'll try and put it up on the screen or somewhere like that. The name of it does escape me, but I genuinely thought that was a cracking little movie. Zegler, I probably won't be watching the Snow White film unless one of my kids forces me to. Julian, Dennison, you need to be in more. Why were you not in Deadpool 3? Where have you gone? I need to see you in more because you're perfect at what you do. Just keep doing it. So I'm going to go. Yes, this is Kevin Halden of Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. Please do comment down below if you saw the movie. Tell me what you thought. If you liked it, if you thought I'm wrong, please do put the comments down below. I love to continue the conversation down there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, ding that notification bell. And of course, the Lumiere Cinemas. Go to crowdfunder.co.uk, read up about what we're doing here. The Romford Film Festival that I'm a big part of, that you all know. The Premiere Cinema shut down back in August, so we don't really have our home anymore. We are taking over the space, and it's going to be the Lumiere Cinema. And there's a lot of awesome things happening there. But if you go to the crowdfunder, it will tell you more. We need help. We're not begging you for your help, but if you can help us in any small way and you like what the manifesto is, please do that. Drop a couple of pound in there, anything you can afford. If you can't afford it, just share it with someone else. Somebody you might know might be Mr. Moneybags, have tons of money and be able to chip in. So go over there, do all of that, at least check it out for me. For now, this movie was a 2.5 out of 5. Y2K, it's not great, but it's watchable, and I will see you in the next review.